V.
When Tricia and Ashley came back downstairs, they were not exactly dressed to go out and take their first kill. Tricia, seeing the confusion on Taylor's face, enlightened him. "Friday night, hun. The whole gang will be at Club V." "Are you kidding me? There's a club in L.A. named Club V where real vampires hang out," Taylor asked, trying to stifle a chuckle. "Well, it's not the real name, and it's very underground. There's a lot of us there," Tricia replied. You really think Taylor should come along?" Nathan asked. "What? Why the hell not?" Tricia asked. "How did you first react when you met Taylor? You want to walk into a club where there can be a couple hundred vamps at any given time? It might cause a stir," Nathan said. Yeah, you have a good point," Tricia said. "Too bad. I was hoping to sneak in a dance tonight," she said, smiling at Taylor. "You can have your dance," Ashley assured. "Taylor, it's a bold statement, but I think it's important we effect a change, not only in our group but in the rest of the population. You walking into Club V will let everyone know there is more to the story. We may be able to use it to forge alliances, which will help when the Nightshade here." "But wouldn't the Nightshade hear faster if he's seen so soon?" Tricia asked. "Yeah, but only by an hour or two. They'll know something big is up when we all leave an hour into the night. We're usually there all night long. If we bring him, they'll all be talking. It'll make the Nightshade very nervous, I bet. And then we'll be off the map for 9 or 10 days. They'll be searching and more worried. So when we're ready, we'll have the upper hand," Ashley said. They agreed to have Taylor come with them. Nathan set Taylor up with some more upscale clothes than his t-shirt and jeans, anyway. When they returned downstairs, Tricia's breath caught in her throat for a moment. He wore a dark gray leather jacket, and under that a black and silver button-up shirt and a pair of dark jeans. "Damn, boy, you clean up nice," Ashley said, smiling. "Yep, he sure does," Tricia said, smiling even bigger. They drove Nathan's SUV, well, actually one of Nathan's SUVs, to the club. Taylor sat in the passenger seat, staring out to the lights of the L.A. night. He thought of all that had happened in the last few months. He thought of Scott and Theraint and what they were doing. Scott's phone had been disconnected. He had tried to call several times. Now, Scott was famous for not paying his bills, so to hear his phone service was off was not really cause for alarm. Taylor tried his best to be confident. They seemed to look at him as something very special. He figured after they finished their conversion, they would no longer be interested in him. They pulled into a small parking structure and walked for a while through the passages. Soon they came to a red steel door with 2 men guarding it. Their eyes flared when they saw Taylor, but they let them in. The second they walked in, most of the eyes in the room looked at Taylor. The music could have stopped and no one would have noticed at all. They led Taylor through the club to a set of 4 tables, where there were smiling faces, of course, until they saw Taylor. Then the faces went into confusion. Nathan walked up to Taylor. "Relax. Most of these vamps have no idea how to react to you, but none of them will confront you. They'll just talk about it till they're blue in the face," Nathan said, seeing the nerves running high. The club buzzed and rippled with conversation. Taylor and Tricia did get to dance. "Wow, and here I thought you were perfect," Tricia commented after the dance about Taylor's 2 left feet. "Far from it. I've never been much of a dancer," Taylor said. "Maybe you just need a better teacher. Maybe we can go out on the floor again." She paused. "If we have time," Taylor finished for her. No, if my feet recover from that time," Tricia joked. Taylor turned red and tried to offer a smile as apology. They returned to the section of the table where Ashley's group hung around. Slowly, people started talking to Tricia with an odd word here and there to Taylor. They were starting to understand that even though they had no idea who he was, Taylor was a very strong ally to have. They began talking to him, and soon his charm was winning them over. He always held Tricia's hand, or at least stayed next to her. Throughout the rest of the night, they exchanged a smile here and there. Taylor was just working up his nerves to ask Tricia to put her feet in jeopardy again when Ashley decided it was time to go. She was probably right. They all knew they would create a stir, but it was even more than they had thought. The club was alive with conversations about the powerful newcomer. Ashley decided it was time. Taylor was happy to go. The great number of eyes stealing glances at him was beginning to get to him. They went back to Nathan's SUV, and this time Taylor sat in the back with Tricia. He looked back to see an assortment of cars following them. "Are you sure the Nightshade aren't following us?" Taylor asked. "I don't think so. I didn't see any of them at the club," Nathan replied. "What? Who were all those other vampires?" Taylor asked. "Oh, most of them were just other groups and stragglers. Most of them are loyal or submit to the Nightshade's demands. Everyone who's ever stood up against them has been torn apart. We're one of the only groups that has stood up in the last 2 years," Nathan replied. "Why haven't they come after you before now?" Taylor asked. "Well, they have. We've never gotten much bigger than we are. For every new member we've had one fall to the bloodlust. They also don't look at us as much of a threat. I mean, one-on-one, we're not much of a match for a Nightshade," Ashley replied. "That is going to change, though," Tricia added. They pulled up to Nathan's home with a line of cars pulling in behind them. They pulled the car out of sight, and when they came into the house, the conversation was buzzing, all speculating about the new vampire that sat next to Tricia. Then Ashley finally began to speak, and the room fell silent. "Before you all explode with curiosity, I think we need to introduce Taylor. He's from Utah, and he was only converted a few months ago." This statement caused a rumble of conversation in the room. Whoa. Taylor was converted by a vampire that knew our true history, and that is why he is as powerful as you all feel. Taylor, do you mind explaining the history to everyone? I think you'll tell it best," Ashley asked. Taylor nervously rose. Tricia gave his hand a little squeeze. She smiled, noticing his nerves. Well, I was converted by a vampire named Theraint. He told me the history of our kind, and I'll tell it the best I can." He began to speak, and he spoke of how the vampires had actually come about and how to defeat the bloodlust once and for all. Ashley rose after Taylor was done. "So, now you know. We need to convert everyone in our group. I realize this is not going to be easy. There are 6 rooms, so Tricia will go in with the first group. Other than that, I need 5 more people." Ashley left the question hanging in the air. 3 people immediately raised their hands to volunteer. The other 2 hands did not come up. "I know it's scary, but we have to do it. The Nightshade will not stop until we're wiped out. We have all committed to fighting them. This is the only way we'll stand on equal ground. How do we know Taylor is telling the truth? He could be some exception to the rule," a young lady said. "Yeah, I suppose I could be. I understand your distrust. I'm very new to this world, so your fears are justified. I'm not going to tell you this is easy. This is one of the hardest things I have ever done. I don't know of a way to prove myself to you. You have to decide for yourself. Maybe you should have the first batch be a little smaller, Ashley, and let the others see how it turns out," Taylor suggested to Ashley. Ashley seemed disappointed, however began to see the wisdom in the statement. "All right, but it'll cost us time," Ashley stated. However, the girl who'd brought up the doubt broke in. "I'll go in the first round too. The fact that you're willing to accept distrust makes me a little bit more confident," she said. Her friend next to her stirred. If Jenny's in, I'll go too." "Well, that's 5 then. We will be going out for our first kill in about an hour. So do what you need to do to get ready. Also pick someone to go with you to the kill to get you back here. Meet back here in an hour. No one's to go off the grounds until it's all said and done," Ashley announced. With that, they broke in their groups and talked. Ashley and Nathan went to each group and talked to them. Taylor went to Tricia. "You're coming with me, right?" Tricia said nervously. "You could not keep me away," Taylor said. "Although I don't know the city very well, we should probably see if someone else will come with us, just to drive," Taylor replied. They knew Ashley and Nathan would be going with other people, so they set out to find someone in the group that they could take along with them. They quickly found a taker in Austin, a young vampire that immediately looked up to Taylor. He had always liked Tricia a lot and wanted to help where he could. He had been a little too scared to go in the first round. I would have, but I'm the newest vampire in the group and I just don't know. He tried to explain to Taylor and Tricia. No need to explain. We'll get you the next round, Tricia said with a smile. And since you're coming with me, I'll come with you, Tricia added. Really? I bet that'd make me a lot braver, Austin replied. You sound pretty brave to me already. They talked for a while, and in the few moments they spent, Austin's confidence gained threefold. Tricia noted to herself how Taylor had that effect on people. He seemed to inspire confidence. He really believed in people around him, and she doubted that had anything to do with his vampirism. After the hour, they gathered in Nathan's home. They now grouped with 6 people going out for the night. There were a few people that would stay behind to make sure everyone came in all right. All right, it looks like we're ready to do this thing. Remember, make your kill on a human that deserves it. Quietly. Let's do this. With that, they went out to the driveway, and silently 6 cars slipped out into the night. The cars soon broke up and went into many different directions. Austin drove per Tricia's direction, and soon they were in her old stomping grounds. Tricia had a person in mind, a guy that roamed the street looking for young girls to sell for his own form of slavery, using drugs to hook them and then making them do anything he wanted to get their supply. Upon her direction, they pulled up next to him. She opened the back door and called him in. Hey ho, haven't seen you around for a while. But they all come back to the sugar man, he said confidently as he slipped into the back seat with Tricia. He tried to keep the door open, but Tricia reached out and ripped the door closed. What the fuck, bitch? You're gonna regret this shit, the sugar man screamed. But they were already in motion. Austin took them to an abandoned alley. Taylor got out and ripped the sugar man from his seat. Tricia came around and grabbed him by the back of the neck. It's over for you, sugar man, she said, and threw him hard against the wall of the alley. What the fuck did I ever do to you? I'm just trying to make my way, baby. You don't want to hurt me, he pleaded, realizing finally he was in great danger. You've done plenty, and I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to put an end to you, Tricia replied. Her eyes glowed with the bloodlust, her fangs completely out. With a sickly twist, she snapped his neck and went in for a drink. The blood reacted immediately with her body. She could feel new power, but also a tremendous need for blood. Get me back, she croaked. Taylor pulled her into the SUV and stayed in the back seat. Go, he told Austin after he got the door closed. The truck's tires spun out and jumped into traffic and returned to the mansion. They were the first to arrive back at the mansion. They rushed Tricia into the bomb shelter and got her into the time-lock room. Taylor gave her a kiss through the door. Tricia collapsed on the cot and braced herself for what was coming. She rested as best she could. She wanted desperately to hear Taylor's voice, but knew he had to help with everyone else coming in. After all, he's the only one that had gone through this before. She waited, but not for long, before the intense need began to take over. She could no longer reason. Her thoughts were consumed with only one thing: thirst. Taylor helped with everyone coming in. Jenny was next. He helped her get her to her room. Tricia was already thrashing in her room. Although he desperately wanted to stay with her, he left her to help the next returning vampire. This one was the one that Nathan had taken out, and they had gone too far away from the mansion. Taylor could not catch his name because they were too busy fighting him. Taylor pulled him out of the BMW and held him tightly. At first he fought. However, he did quickly realize that he was overpowered and allowed Taylor to get him to his room. Taylor turned to Nathan and shut the door. Whoa, he got real strong real quick, Nathan replied. I hope everyone else doesn't cut it so close, Taylor replied. Tricia okay? Nathan asked. Well, not happy, but the first part is the part you can't control. They quickly checked the screens to check the 3. Tricia had tore up everything in her room already. Jenny paced like a lion in a cage, and the young man that Nathan had brought in began to rip apart his cell. I'll say it again. It's as if this place were built for this, Taylor said as he took one more longful glance at Tricia. They started back to the house to wait for the others. They reached the back door when they heard the tires screech in the driveway. They sprang into a run to help 2 more in. Then they waited for Ashley, and waited. Nathan and Taylor finally became nervous enough that they decided they needed to go out after them. They were heading for the door when they finally heard Ashley pull up. They helped with the girl she had brought, and they got her in the last open room. They again checked on all of them, and then left for a while. Nathan, Ashley, and Taylor sat by the pool. "What took you so long? Taylor and I were about to head out after you," Nathan asked Ashley. "We just had to find one particular person. It took us a while. Amazing how much more powerful they immediately get," Ashley replied. "Yeah, Josh's eyes went crazy red. I could barely keep him in the car," Nathan said. "I need this," he said, pulling a joint from his pocket. He lit it and passed it around. They talked for a little over 15 minutes. Then Taylor stood up and headed back to the shelter to check on Tricia and the others. They all watched as the 6 fought their way through the addiction. 24 hours later, everyone had calmed down except for Josh. He was a powerfully built vampire, and the new surge of power had given him great energy. "Should we worry about him?" Nathan asked. "No, I think he'll be all right," Taylor said, thinking back on Scott's experience through those 3 days. In the 2 days that followed, Taylor stuck generally with Nathan and Austin, although he got to know everyone better. Nathan was a source of strength, and Austin turned out to be very intelligent. The 3 hung out together quite a bit, and Nathan and Austin both had many questions and concerns about their conversions. Taylor answered as many questions as he could, although many times he felt as if he'd lacked the answers. Taylor helped his new friends, but all this time he thought of Tricia. He checked on her every half an hour. He hoped that she would soon be able to see through the haze that addiction caused. As he was walking back to the mansion, dead set on a shower, he barely made it in the back door when Austin caught him. "Taylor, she's asking for you," Austin shouted. Taylor turned on his heel and hurried back to the shelter. He ran over to the screen and then hid it so he could see her. He jabbed down the button that let him speak. "Hey, how you feeling?" Taylor asked. "Taylor?" she said, hearing his voice and looking around. "I feel like hell. You're not looking at me, are you? I must look horrible," Tricia said. "You look fine to me," Taylor said, smiling. She was coming out of it now. He looked at the time lock, 4 hours left for her. But soon others were coming to say hello to the others who were coming out of their hazes. By the time Tricia had 2 hours left, they had all come out successfully. Even Josh was back to his normal self. Taylor and Tricia spoke till the time fell away to the last few moments. Then all the others joined Taylor to welcome her out. With a hiss, the door came open and out came Tricia. She hugged all of them and thanked Austin for his help. She went to Taylor's arms after that, and did not leave them. Ashley smiled at her. "You did it, Trish. You're the first to complete the conversion. Only because you were all here for me. No offense to anybody, but I need a shower," she said, and everyone laughed. Taylor took her to the house. When they were alone, Tricia finally got up the nerve to ask, "About that shower. It'd be nice if you came with me," she said. Taylor smiled. "I was hoping you'd ask that." They undressed each other while kissing lightly. They got into the hot water, and Taylor washed her, and she returned the favor. After they were both clean, their passion grew, and they made love in the water. Tricia pulled Taylor out of the shower and led him to the bed, where they made love again. Both Tricia and Taylor had never made love as a vampire, and the sensation was incredible. After they were done, they laid in each other's arms, stealing a kiss here and there. "That better not be the last time we do that," Tricia said, nestling into his arms. "Well, if I have anything to say about it, it won't be," Taylor replied. After a while, they dressed and went downstairs. They greeted the other vampires, and now were all out of their rooms. They were already talking about who would go next. Jenny pulled Taylor aside. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry I didn't trust you," she said. "You did trust me. You did it," Taylor replied and gave her a hug. They gathered in the main living room. Ashley designated that this time Nathan would convert. She also asked for 5 more volunteers. More hands than needed immediately went into the air this time, including Austin's. Ashley saw Tricia indicate that he should be chosen, and he was. Although they were proud of Austin, it presented a new problem. Nathan had asked Taylor to come with him. Taylor told this to Austin when the four of them were out by the pool. "Oh," Austin said, the disappointment seeping into his voice. "No problem. You go with Nathan, and Austin will go with me," Tricia said, throwing an arm around him. Austin smiled. "I think I'd rather go with the pretty girl anyway," he said, smiling, his new confidence definitely starting to show. Nathan laughed. His nerves were starting to fray. I'm really scared," Nathan said. "Nathan, man, you're gonna be fine," Austin said. "We can do this. Just remember, when you're in your room fighting, I'm right next to you," Austin finished. Tricia looked at the view of the city. "You gonna be okay tonight?" Taylor asked. "Yeah, I am," Tricia said. "You better take care of yourself and Nathan." They embraced for a little longer and then joined the others in the house.